Hearing from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 3rd canto, 25th chapter, and the 25th verse. Satam prasangam mama virya sambido. Satam prasangam mama virya sambido. Bhavanti hritkarna rasayana kata. Bhavanti hritkarna rasayana kata. Tajjo shadadashu apavarga vartmani. Shadaratir bhaktir anukramishvriti. The word for word. Satam, of pure devotees. Prasādāt, through the association. Mama, my. Virya, wonderful activities. Saṅgvida, by discussion of. Bhavanti, become. Hrit, to the heart. Karna, to the ear. Rasayana, pleasing. Kata, the stories. Tat, of that. Joshanat, by cultivation. Ashu, quickly. Apavarga, of liberation. Vartmani, on the path. Shraddha, firm faith. Rati, attraction. Bhakti, devotion. Anukramashyati, will follow in order. Translation: in the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and heart. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is freed and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The process of advancing in Krishna consciousness and devotional service is described here. The first point is that one must seek the association of persons who are Krishna conscious and who engage in devotional service. Without such association, one cannot make advancement. Simply by theoretical knowledge or study, one cannot make any appreciable advancement. One must give up the association of materialistic persons and seek the association of devotees, because without the association of devotees, one cannot understand the activities of the Lord. Generally, people are convinced of the impersonal feature of the Absolute Truth. Because they do not associate with devotees, they cannot understand that the Absolute Truth can be a person and have personal activities. This is a very difficult subject matter, and unless one has personal understanding of the Absolute Truth, there is no meaning to devotion. Service or devotion cannot be offered to anything impersonal. Service must be offered to a person. Non-devotees cannot appreciate Krishna consciousness by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam or any other Vedic literature wherein the activities of the Lord are described. They think that these activities are fictional, manufactured stories because spiritual life is not explained to them in the proper mood. To understand the personal activities of the Lord, one has to seek the association of devotees. And by such association, when one contemplates and tries to understand the transcendental activities of the Lord, the path to liberation is open, and he is freed. One who has firm faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes fixed, and his attraction for association with the Lord and the devotees increases. Association with devotees means association with the Lord. The devotee who makes this association develops the consciousness for rendering service to the Lord, and then, being situated in the transcendental position of devotional service, he gradually becomes perfect. It's such an honor for us to be here at New Mayapur Dham, this holy place, a tirtha, where all of you are serving 24 hours a day to expand the Krishna consciousness movement and to establish a place of bhakti where people can come and have association with the devotees. I've noted many times when flying through the air at 700 miles an hour, which the Ayurveda says, don't go faster than a bullock cart, may be slightly disorienting, especially when you get off in any destination and the first thing you have to walk through is about a half a mile of duty-free shop, where all the great necessities of life, like perfume, whiskey, and chocolates are available. Cigarettes, don't forget cigarettes. A must-have for every civilized human. And there's a weariness, the Bhagavatam notes, of any traveler. In fact, the word travel comes from the word travail, which comes from a root which means instrument of torture. It's a kind of whip with 3 little balls on the end that tear the flesh off your body. So, I know it's a family show, sorry. So there's a way in which we're traveling from one place to another, and where is there refuge? Only in sadhu sangha. We can't find it anywhere in the material world because it's a stone-like place. Krishna says, Bhumir apo analo vayu kam mano pudir evacha ahankara ityam me bindam prakriti rashata. These energies, they're all inferior. And if you desire to live in a stone house, then you move in and you're absorbed, then your consciousness becomes like stone. However, when you come to a temple where the devotees are worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but even better, they're going out to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's within everyone's heart, which is the highest kind of worship, which is confirmed by Rūpa Gosvāmī after observing Lord Shiva drinking the ocean of poison. He said, Tapyante lokatapena sarava prayasojana parama aradhanam tadi purushasya kilamana. There's no higher form of worship of the Supreme Lord than those who take trouble for the sake of giving mercy to others, to saving the fallen conditioned souls. And I know whenever I feel weary from travel, and then I come to one of Prabhupada's temples that you're also kindly maintaining, then just one quick obeisance, the smell of a chants going somewhere, some incense in the air, and the sound vibration that's echoing through the hallways. And then I feel revived. That's the sign of sadhu sangha. When Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote his song about all the joys he finds in devotional service, he mentions the association of devotees, and that when he hears the mridanga, he wants to join in. So every living entity wants to join in. Even animals, when they see the Harinam Sankirtan party, they wish they had a little association, and the great souls like Shivananda Sain say, yes, come along, everyone's invited to have sadhu sangha. The process of material life is described in the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Purusha prakriti stohi bhunte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangosya sarasad yoni janmasu. That by association with the external feature of the Lord, the manifestation of this world is a conglomeration of forms and features which are combinations and permutations of the 3 energetic transformations of nature, sattva, rajas, and tamas. And by poking our nose in any particular environment where one of those or a combination of them is prominent, then we naturally become affected by it, says Krishna. Karanam guna sangosya, the cause of sadasad, means whatever situation you're in now, good or bad. You may think, oh, I'm in a good situation, I'm in a bad situation. You can trace it all back. The cause is association with the three modes of material nature. And then there's the association mentioned in the verse today. Satam prasangam mama virya sambido. It's a different quality of association. It's association with sadhus. Sadhus carry not just the personality of Godhead within their hearts, but also something even more important. They carry love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead within their heart. Therefore, Yudhishthira said to Vidura, Bhavad vida bhagavatas tirta bhuta swayam vibo, tirtat kurvanti tirtani swantakstena gataprita. He said, my dear Vidura, when you go to the holy places, you purify them. Because you carry the Supreme Personality of Godhead within your heart. You're a Bhagavata. And by the association of Bhagavatas, we find throughout the Shastra, and including in today's verse, one can turn one's life around. One can rise above the three modes of material nature by hearing the transcendental vibration that emanates from the voices. Does that make sense in English or French? No, by hearing the sound vibration that comes from such purified personalities. Tulayame levenapi na swargam na punarbhavan bhagavat sangi sangasya murtyanam kimushashita ashashita shashiha ashashitaha. Ashashi means a benediction comes. And you can get it from association with devotees within levanapi, means just within a fraction of a second. And it can't be compared to anything else in this world. If you take all the things in France, how many things are there in France, by the way, approximately? How many things? How many things are there in France?
Billions.
Billions?
A lot.
Well, name three of them. What kind of things are in France? There's, what? Camembert cheese. There's an artist over there, come on. What? Aftershave lotion? Whatever you said. It could be anything, but if we go on making a list of all the things in France, then someone might think, oh, if I could have some of those things, I missed them in the duty-free shop, then I'll be happy. But Bhagavatam says, no, you won't be happy by that. But if you get even a fraction of a second of association with a pure devotee, then you'll experience true happiness. You'll rise above the modes of material nature. You'll feel something otherworldly that you can't get anywhere else in this world from all the things. So the verse says, there's nothing equal to the association of a sadhu, a pure devotee. Even if you compare liberation to the heavenly planets, you might think, oh, it'll be better in heaven. Or most people think, not so far, they think more in terms of Honolulu. Or maybe if they're more refined, Maui or Kauai. It must be better there. But there are ambulances running in Maui and in Kauai as well. I know I went there once and broke my arm and had to go to the hospital. And I've never really appreciated the place after that. What to speak of worldly happiness where people congregate at concert halls and people throw up on one another. Sorry to be graphic, I know it's a kid's show. But there's no happiness in the material world, and it's a gross kind of association. But by the association of a pure devotee, one feels an impetus towards leaving the material world and pursuing something better. This is one of the main themes of the Bhagavatam, and that is that Shukadeva Goswāmī didn't come out of the womb until he was in his teens. He was your age, Sridham. He didn't want to come out of the womb. And when he finally did, he left home, didn't go to school. No Avanti, no anything. He just took off. Don't get any ideas. And he went to the forest, completely detached, until Vyasadeva sent some of his disciples to chant verses from the Bhagavatam. And when he heard them, he became enlivened. He realized a higher sense of happiness beyond even the Brahman happiness that he was absorbed in at the time. So there's several qualities we get from sadhus that you don't get anywhere else. One thing is mentioned in the Shastra, Titikshava. Of course, there's a whole verse, Titikshava Kurunika, it comes up later. But tolerance. Tolerance is not something you can fake. You can fake it for a little while, but after, people will snap at a certain point. Or it caught me in a bad mood. Somebody can be going along in their life and everyone thinks this is a great person, and all of a sudden they just snap and they smack somebody in the face, for example, in front of everybody. And then everyone says, oh, what happened to you? That's like everyone in the material world is subject to the churning of the modes of nature. The upsurge of ignorance can come at any time, or passion. But amazingly, a sadhu is not subjected to this. Therefore, titikshava. Sadhu can tolerate. And just being around someone who's tolerant is a relief. Oftentimes, we're around people, they can't sit for very long, they fidget, they complain about everything. Oh, I can't live in this place. Oh, I need a better seat. So it sounds like me. Everything is inconvenience. But a sadhu is never feeling inconvenienced. In fact, to such a degree that Lord Shiva observed in Chitraketu, just after he had been cursed to become a demon. And in those days when somebody cursed you, you were pretty sure that it was going to happen. And so Parvati cursed Chitraketu. And he said, yes, Mataji, thank you very much. And Lord Shiva pointed out that a devotee doesn't mind going to hell or even heaven. Is not disturbed by all those things. Narayana paksarve nakutashana bhibyati swarga pavarga narakeshu api tulyarta darshina. That it's equal whether you send me to heaven or hell or Pakistan, like Brahmananda got up and left, and Gargamuni, when Prabhupada said, you go to Pakistan and preach, and they just bought a ticket and left. The halava was still warm on the table when they walked away. Where'd they go? Pakistan. Why? Prabhupada said go. They were happy to go there because they were on a mission, devotional service, and they could tolerate anything for the sake of serving the mission. So devotees become tolerant. This is not ordinary in this world. Normally when people are driving on the road and someone comes a little close, then there's an upsurge in the heart. Even if they don't pull out a gun like they do in America, whatever they have here, there's still this sense like, how dare you? But that's not there in the heart of a sadhu, because sadhu's feeling connected with Krishna and completely peaceful. So it's something we can observe. And then there's another quality that only a person who's fixed in devotional service has, which is mentioned in the commentary to the famous verse, Evam pratasva priyanama kirtya jatano rago jita chitta uchar rasatato rotiti roti gayati unmadavam nritati lokabaya. I'm going to say it again because I tripped over the third line. Evam pratasva priyanama kirtya jatano rago jita chitta uchar hasatyato rotiti roti gayati unmadavam nritati lokabaya. This is a verse that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu received from his spiritual master just after he had taken initiation and he started chanting Hare Krishna and experiencing ecstatic symptoms, and he wondered if it was actually the right mantra. He said, this mantra is making me crazy. I go into ecstasy and I roll on the ground and cry. And his spiritual master then recited this verse and said, this is the essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And in it, it describes how when one chants Hare Krishna, the heart changes. It becomes soft. Dhrita chuta, it melts actually. And then the devotee becomes indifferent to social custom. However, it's not that all devotees show some external symptoms. But Madhvacharya, in commenting on this verse, says there are two qualities that all pure devotees exhibit. One of them is steadiness. That's another thing you can't fake. You either show up or you don't. And if you always show up, it means there's something brewing in your heart, that you really like this. Prabhupada once said, don't be surprised at who leaves, be surprised at who stays. And the second is called mukhyā prasādāt, which means that from the mouth of such a person comes prasad. Means that whatever he or she says is meant to benefit the other person. How could it be otherwise? Because a person who's become pure, who's a sādhu, nindādi-śūnya-hṛdam īpsita-saṅga-labdhyā, is described by Rūpa Gosvāmī, the topmost devotee. Nindā. Ninda means to criticize others. Some more verbs match with criticize? Blaspheme. Blame, slander. A few more for color. Harangue. Huh? What? To mock. Yeah, don't mock me. Stop mocking me. So there's a way in which, from the heart of somebody who has the affliction of envy, when he or she sees somebody else successful or happy, it's like, oh, like Prabhupada says, these friends were talking one day, and one of them said, Dilip, you know, our good friend, Arun, he's a high court judge. And they said, the other friend said, that's impossible. Arun's an idiot. He's always been an idiot. He can never be a high court judge. And his friend said, no, Dilip, I saw him. He's sitting in the court behind the bench. He's got the gavel. He's got the robes. He's giving sentences out. And his friend said, yeah, but he's probably not getting paid. There's this tendency to like diminish anything anyone else is doing comes from the envy within the heart. But Rūpa Gosvāmī says a miracle happens by the association of pure devotees. And that is, gradually one's heart changes and there's no more envy within the heart. And therefore, nindādi-śūnya-hṛdam īpsita-saṅga-labdhyā. The person then becomes free from nindā. You know somebody who is a professional at criticizing, what they're called? A nindaka. Or, nindanīyā. Like a kīrtanīyā. The kīrtanīyas, they're always singing, Haribol. But nindanīyā is somebody who's always singing other people's faults. And they criticize everyone, but that idea or impulse doesn't enter within the heart of a sadhu. So, tolerance and steadiness and mukhyā prasādāt, and there are long, long lists of qualities of the sadhu. So in this verse, satam prasangamam avirya sambido bhavanti hritkayana rasayana kata, there's the most important quality mentioned of all. And that is that the sadhus are always speaking about Krishna's glories. Virya means that the Lord's activities are glorious. And such a person is not interested in the mundane news of the world. Prabhupada mentions that the devotees are not so interested in following the news because, he says, things will go the way they're going to go. And what can you do? But we're on a different track, and those who follow sadhus are on a different track. They're interested in discussing in more and more detail the activities of the Lord and His pastimes. So I'll just say a few more words and take some reflections or questions if we still have time. We do. So, okay?
Yes.
Please say yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So, satam prasangam mama virya sambido. So this means that if you're associating with sadhus, you're hearing a sound vibration that will rectify any of the bad qualities that one may have picked up by association with the three modes of material nature. This is our nature as individual living beings. We're susceptible to our environment. This is called tatasta. Means we're open to suggestion, or we're influenced by our association. So, if one is in the association of satam, or pure devotees, then one gets treated to hearing transcendental sound vibration, and it acts in a medicinal way. It's like medicine. The sound vibration, as we know from Srimad Bhagavatam, Shrinvatam swakata krishna punya shravana kirtana hridyantak stohi bhadrani vidunonti suritsatam. And also, sadyo hridyavarudhyate tra kritibi shru shubishtakshanad. When one listens to Bhagavatam, the association of devotees, then Krishna becomes inclined to stay within the heart of such a devotee. So what happens is the sound goes in one's ear. It's medicine you take through your ear, and then it goes to the heart, and then it changes your perspective entirely. Little jiva is on the path of material life, trying to go somewhere to find something better, trying to improve one's condition in the material world. This is called pavarga. It's fraught with various anomalies, which means pa, 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 ma. Really, it's almost the last thing I'm going to say, this last point. So pa means that you have to work really hard in the material world. And there's no work in the spiritual world. That's why Krishna plays a flute. Prabhupada said it means he's all play and no work. There's no work in the spiritual world. Everyone say, Haribol. Haribol! I'm not really impressed by that very much. There's no work in the spiritual world. That's all. But in the material world, pa, you have to work so hard that foam comes from your mouth. And then the boss says, that's not hard enough. But foam's coming from my mouth. And it's like, yeah, but that's not good enough. You have to work harder and harder and harder. This is the material world. Ba means that no matter what you get, there's going to be defeat at some point. They'll come and take whatever you accumulated away. Who's they? Everybody. And then ba means you're going to be fearful when you're doing it, because you always think, whatever I'm getting, I'm going to lose later on. And then ma means, of course, mrityu or death. So if you want to change the direction you're going, and that's the direction everyone's going in the material world, no matter how glamorous it may look in the duty-free shop, it's actually a path to death, and it's fraught with hard work and disappointment and fear. But if you hear the sound vibration from the sadhus, sadhu sangha, then you are apavarga, which means you've reversed your course, and now you get to go back home, back to Godhead. And how does it happen? Anukramishati. It happens step by step, very naturally, by the Lord's arrangement, just by submitting oneself to hearing in the association of devotees. Therefore, one of the 5 most important aspects of devotional service is to associate with like-minded devotees who are more advanced than oneself, and association means to hear. It means to hear in the association of devotees, and especially to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. And how much should you hear the Srimad Bhagavatam, Habib Prabhu?
A lot.
A lot. You should hear it a lot. So then you'll attain the perfection of life just by the association of sadhus. So this verse assures us that we're on the right path for congregating together, and the more we organize ourselves in such a way that we can continually help one another by hearing the transcendental vibration, then the more we all advance together. That was a rather cheesy ending to the part, but now I'd like to take a few reflections or questions to help manifest the purple haze.
I got a question.
Okay, yes.
Okay, so we have to be tolerant.
We have to be tolerant,
Yeah, let's say.
but
I'm not tolerant, but some things I'm not tolerant, and devotees tell me be tolerant. But I don't want to always be tolerant because it means this person insulted me, and then she's going to do it with others, So I'm concerned about others, only me. So could be good to be intolerant sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes, we tolerate too much abuses. We've seen that.
yeah, that's a good point. So it's not that tolerance means that one becomes a doormat for every inconsiderate person in the world, but there's a different quality to the intolerance of a senior devotee like yourself. I mean, senior in stature of devotional service. And that is that it's purposeful. There's a way in which devotees display symptoms of so-called conditioned soul, not so-called, of real conditioned souls, like anger and also apparently intolerance. But it's mukhyā prasādāt nonetheless. It's meant for the benefit of others, to help them come to a higher level. We have to be careful, however, because there's a way in the name of yukta vairagya, I may become angry, lose my temper, and then say, I meant to do that. That was for Krishna. There's losing anger and there's using anger, and one should be very careful and judicious in meeting out criticism. This is my experience, that even with disciple-type people, one has to be careful. Because everyone's walking on thin ice here in this world. And if you disturb their mental system, which is very fragile, then they can be disturbed. So we have to be careful. I actually learned that on Sankirtan, that humans are sensitive. And they respond better, I've found, not just humans, all living beings, to a sense of calm, and even if one's making a point, doing it without ascribing intention to the other person, and just pointing out in a more neutral way that there are ways to do better. But it's a great consideration that how we associate with devotees, that yes, we'll be among those who may not be up to par. It's natural because we're a big group and we invite everybody to come in. And then we may say, what's this person doing here? And someone might look at me and say, who let you in? And so there's a way in which we're all in this together, and it's helpful to remember that anyone who comes through the door, or doesn't even come through the door but says, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
This person is considered by Lord Chaitanya to be the best among all human beings. And Devahuti says, Aho bata shvapa chato gariyanya jiva gre vartate nama tubhyam te pusta paste juhuvusasna arya brahmanatra nama granantiyete. That person, they've performed all kinds of sacrifices previously. So anyway, it's a really important point you made. It's practical because we may speak about philosophical points, and then when it comes to our daily lives and interactions with others, there are various ways in which we have to we have to be, we can't just let things go. We have to help people come up to the standard. And however, we can consider how would sadhus do it? What's the best way to do it? Okay, we have time for a couple more reflections before we get roasted to death by the sun. Especially these brave devotees over here. Yes, Prabhu. And congratulations on your recent initiation. Come on, give it up now. Come on, you just got initiated. You know, we search for souls all over the universe. And then when somebody comes and they surrender their lives, it's the greatest miracle. So we should pour our hearts out to those who come in to this. And then, I mean, take a look. Brahmachari, effulgent. I saw him in the airport. These brahmacharis walking through, and it's a head turner. They got on the plane we were on, and they came into the plane, and I thought, yeah, this is a good look for the world. Most people are all carrying duty-free bags, and they're carrying bead bags, and that's it. They got a couple other little things. So, you know, we should be really grateful when these special souls come into the fold of Krishna consciousness, and we should pour our hearts out in the mood of sadhu sangha to help everyone to feel accommodated and so forth. Prabhu, yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for an amazing class. And just wondering, you were mentioning how every moment and every word that comes from sadhus are important to hear. So how can we better hear within conversation and pick up little cues or little things that will help us in our spiritual life?
Well, one thing is, one should regularly recite the Shastra. Practically in every room of the Vaishnav home, there's a set of books. Any room that you're put up in a temple, there's a set of books. And that's good. But also, we should regularly recite what's in them. Because there's a way that by hearing from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, as regularly, as constantly as possible, that we develop a penchant for hearing what's spiritual, what's not. Anyad hor sambhavad, anyad ahura sambhavat. Iti shushumadhiranam yenas tadvich chakshade. Sri Upanishad said this was explained by the great dhiras, those who are spiritually situated, that one result is obtained by worshipping the supreme cause of all causes, and another result is obtained by worshipping that which is not supreme. The word worship comes from the word worth. Like, what's it worth to you? What's its value? Do you all know what I'm talking about? W-O-R-T-H, worth. But then when you put ship at the end of a word, it becomes a noun. And over time, by Sandhi rules, it changed from worthship to worship. And so, when we hear from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, it refines our intelligence so we know what's of real value. What kind of qualities are of value. And then we're tuned to resonate with the higher sound vibration. And also, when we hear ridiculous and low sound vibrations, it sounds ridiculous to us because, like, that's a waste of time. Not only that, it's very kind of polluting. But we can observe it, be objective, and notice it ourselves because our intelligence becomes refined. Yeah, it's a culture. It's called chikitsitam. It's a remedial measure, hearing the Bhagavatam. And by hearing it, then we get refined, and then our sense of what we want to hear gets refined. So by association of sadhus, we actually get a taste for hearing transcendental sound vibration. And when we become highly tuned, then that's the main thing that we want to hear. And the other sound vibrations we'll notice. So regularly recite Srimad Bhagavatam. Hear the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita in the association of devotees, and it naturally tunes the ear. Could we have a couple more points? Questions are welcome. And also reflections, which means anything that you heard so far that stuck in your mind. We have 1 minute. Maharaj Kadvanga got it done in 1 minute. We could try. 45 seconds. Prabhu.
Said that they don't work in the spiritual world.
No work in the spiritual world.
What if you like hard work?
What if you like hard work? Yeah, it means it's a different quality of work. When we work hard for Krishna without any expectation of personal gain, then it's not really work. It's a different quality. So the devotees like to work hard for Krishna. They always want to be engaged in his service, but they never think, what's in it for me? They're thinking, what's in it for Krishna? And therefore, it's a different kind of work. And Krishna recommends this to Brahma in the Brahma Samhita. Kurvan nirantaram karma loko yamanavartate tenaiva karmana dhyayam mam param bhaktimichiti. It says everyone has to work in the material world. Kurvan nirantaram karma. Nirantaram karma means your karma will keep you running forever. Nirantaram karma. It'll never stop. Kurvan nirantaram karma loko yam anavartate. This is the plight, P-L-I-G-H-T, of every living entity in the material world. However, he says, if you meditate on me and offer the results of the work to me when you're working, then, he said, you'll attain perfection. So that's that kind of work, working hard. We're not interested, Prabhupada said, in having temples for lazy fellows, who just a free hotel. It's like, I don't want to work. So we want people who are alacritus. Do you know what alacritus means? Could you look it up? Where's our research department? Come on. Got to be ready. Thank you very much. Okay, alacrity. Last thing.
Okay. Can you pass them back?
Oh, Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Thank you very much. I have French devotees here. In the beginning, you mentioned the definition of travel. What was that word you used?
Travail.
Travail. In French, what's the word for labor or work?
Travailler.
Almost the same word in French. Work, labor, hard work. Trouble. Almost the same word.
Latin word.
Yeah, we were attracted to come here because of the fire that's going on here. Oh, I shouldn't say that right now.
The heating is working.
The spark for Sankirtan book distribution. It's rare in this world, and it emanates from the hearts of sadhus who are paradukadukhi. Maharaj is a paradukadukhi. He's not satisfied with ordinary kinds of activities, but he wants the extraordinary activity of fulfilling the desire of pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, to distribute books all over the world, and therefore it manifests here. And when we heard about it, we became really attracted to come here, because whenever there's book distribution, we know there's going to be something magnificent manifesting. We wanted to kind of get in as close to the ground floor as possible, although we're a little late for it. So, thank you, Maharaj, for giving your association. Hare Krishna. Come on. That's it? That's like a 3 out of 10. One thing about sadhu sangha is if you glorify devotees as hard as you can, whenever you can, you make advancement more rapidly. What's the principle? Who could repeat it back? What I just said. Yes, Prabhu?
Mike,
Hello, Maharaj, and I just want to tell you that
Just
you
switch on the mic.
with book distribution after reading your book. This is right.
We can't hear you, sorry.
so
Hare Krishna.
switch on the mic and make it on.
It's Krishna's arrangement.
Am I right or wrong?
It was amazing. Well, there's always a little bit of a spark there, but in the association of devotees, that spark can turn into a little bit more of a fire. And there's a very interesting. By the way, we have 50 copies of your book here if anyone wants a copy of our family business. And I remember we were driving in France. I was traveling around visiting devotees, and I was reading this book, the devotee driving Mukunda, and I was reading this book as we were going along, and we reached a town called Dijon. It's a medium town, and we just finished the section in your book regarding, you just given a seminar in New York, I think, on book distribution, and you went out for a walk during the break around the block, and somebody popped out from workmen and said, who are you guys, what you doing, or something like that. And you thought, oh no, you had no book, you didn't have a book with you, and you just talked about always carry books with you wherever you go. Huh? But the devotee with you somehow had an īpsita-saṅga-labdhyā or something in his pocket, and you got it out. You gave the guy this book, and he gave a donation, and it was very inspiring. And so we just stopped in front of some of the devotees there. In fact, some of them are here today from that town. And we got out of the car, and this Muslim man came. It was the road had mostly Muslim shops, mostly Muslim. We got out of the car, and this Muslim man came running towards us. As I got out of the car, I didn't know what he was going to do. He was shouting his head off. I couldn't understand what he was shouting. He was running towards me. I was like, I thought he might be punching me. I didn't know what he was going to do. And he stopped in front of me. And he started going, Adi, 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 Adi. I said, bring the cookies quickly. We had a box of cookies. And so the cookies came out, and I gave him a cookie. He kind of fumbled and jumbled, dropped the cookie on the floor, picked it up, brushed it off, and started eating it in the middle of the street. And I don't know, I can't remember exactly, it's years and years ago, but then I said something like, oh, give me a book, and I gave him a book, and I said, we'd like to give a donation. And he just took all the money out of his pocket and just gave me all the money he had. I said, we just finished reading that section, always have a book with you. Always have prasadam with you, a book with you. And Krishna immediately showed it, that everyone, is eligible in one sense. Everyone, at least they should have the right to receive Prabhupada's mercy. So it was kind of amazing kind of coincidence. But I can say for sure that this book, if you haven't got it, Our Family Business is, if you don't develop a desire in your heart to distribute books, or see the book distribution going on after reading that book, then you haven't read the book. You can't help but develop that feeling to share what Prabhupada has given the world. Maybe I'm seeing this only valuable thing really in the world is Srimad Bhagavatam and these books of Krishna conscious books. So please take a copy if you want. We'll have them on the reception table later on. Thank you.